Spiritual warfare is today's subject. Hi there, my name is Ellen, and welcome to my channel. I was actually planning on doing a whole different thing, but after I prayed and I did some meditation this morning, it came upon me that I needed to cover spiritual warfare with you, that my spirit thought it was really important. So I just have a few notes here, and everything else was written out nicely, but I kind of threw that to the side and make this a priority because I feel it is really important to talk about it. We are not always prepared in the right way. So there will be another segment on how to protect yourself. But spiritual warfare, what is that? Now, the thing is, I have actually personally gone through it. And I know of others who have experienced it as well. And you might have felt it at times or have gone through it yourself. People don't really talk about it, but it is real. Sometimes it comes unintentional. So people come up to you and they work on you and they don't even realize that other forces are working through them. It's fascinating, actually. It's a very interesting subject, and obviously it can take a long time to go through all that, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up in less than 15 minutes, and I hope that you will stay with me during this time. Like I said, I only have this one little note, and so I want to talk about spiritual warfare. So I tell you, some 25 years ago, it's been a long time, but forces have been trying to attack me lately, but now I know how to recognize it. Back then I didn't. Some 25 years ago, I was approached by a very handsome gentleman shortly after my divorce, and he was just he was 100% a gentleman. He was taking me out, and he was showing me a good time. We ended up dating about 6 months. It got pretty serious, and I believe that I fell in love with him. And it took me some time to get over that. But anyway, we were dating for, like I said, about 6 months on and off. There were During those times I had lost my job. Um, I started losing weight, and I couldn't really understand that back then because he took me out, at least 3 times a week. We went out for fabulous dinners. We went out to, to venues where we were dancing, and everywhere where we went, we would always be approached by others and saying, "What a beautiful couple you two are." And so he was tall and handsome, and yeah, I absolutely fell for him. And so time went on, and it was like he wanted to spend more and more time with me, even though I really was looking for a new position and I was rather busy with my life. But he became much, much more, it's almost like he had a grip on me. I couldn't understand it back then, what all that was about. But even when he was just wanting to come over, and he always kind of wanted to actually either hold my hand or, always wanting to be close to me. And I did not understand any of it. And he was doing extremely well with his business during that time. He had to add on, he had to hire new employees. His business grew substantially, where, like I said, I had a hard time finding my footing again in terms of finding a new position. I had gone through many interviews during that time, and somehow I just felt very weak all the time, tired, extremely tired. And I'm not someone who naps during the day, but back then I remember taking naps after I'd been up for a few hours. I was so tired that I would sleep, but I also noticed I wasn't eating quite as much. I felt like I was full rather quickly when I went out, or when I had lunch or breakfast or what have you. So it's almost like my stomach was shrinking, which I was excited about because I went out and bought new clothes, something a couple of sizes smaller eventually. And I had friends and family who started looking at me and saying, you know what, I don't know if I like the fact that you lose so much weight. What are you doing? Are you taking anything? Are you taking medication? What? I said, no, no, just in love. And so when I'm in love, I don't eat or what have you. Of course I ate, but it was much, much later where I understood. I mean, I was trying in between to push him away every so often, but he would always kind of come back and wheel his way back in. He was very charming, like I said, knew how to flatter me with flowers and trips to the beaches and things like that. Anyway, one day I had noticed in the morning after I showered, I weighed myself and I had lost 24 pounds. And it was about right about that 6 month period. I had lost 24 pounds and not even trying. I was excited of having lost that kind of weight without going on any kind of diet. But I remember a few days later, the gentleman had come over to pick me up to go to restaurant, and he was very frustrated. And we had a lengthy conversation, and he told me that he had gained so much weight, and he just didn't know what to do. And I said, "Well, how much did you gain?" And he told me, "Now guess what? He had gained exactly 24 pounds. So I had lost 24 and he had gained 24. Now, I didn't share the fact that I had lost the weight, but I must say it gave me a bit of a chill, and it it kind of scared me a little bit because I realized all of a sudden that there was something going on here that I couldn't really explain. And so I shared this with a friend back then, and she was going to church on a regular basis, and she had told me that things like that happen sometimes when you are dealing with an energy vampire. And it's fascinating because when we met the very first time when we went out in the evening for a nice dinner. And I had just leaned back in my seat and said, "So tell me about yourself. Who are you?" And he told me, "Oh, I'm a vampire." And I was laughing. I was like, "Oh, you silly." Back then I wasn't thinking, obviously, but I'm always about believing you. Now I know, believe people when they tell you who they are. You got to believe them. And it was kind of amazing when I think about this experience. And I'm wondering if you have gone through anything like that, to where you maybe have a relationship. Sometimes it is family members that are very close to you. Perhaps there are friends, colleagues, and you spend time with them, maybe a bit too much time, or you might spend too much time in the way of you coming home and you're feeling completely exhausted, even though you haven't physically done anything. You really just had a lengthy conversation, you had laughter and what have you, but you feel completely drained when you get home. I mean, I know I had a few friends back in the days where I now, obviously, I finished all these friendships. They drained me as well, where, we sometimes you go out and you might spend a couple of hours with that one person, maybe going somewhere on that little trip or little distance, and you drive for a while and you are in that enclosed environment like a car, and when you get home, you just need a nap. And that is not healthy. I mean, I always say that when you get home, check yourself, see how you feel. Do you feel energized after you maybe get home from, meeting friends or family, um, or maybe someone that you're in love with, or do you feel exhausted? So I think we often don't really pay attention to our energy field and how do people make you feel. If you feel relaxed and you feel, invigorated, maybe even, but relaxed about the whole situation, then that's a good thing. But if you feel exhausted and you notice that you start losing weight, or you are just drained, sometimes I have even come across people I've been in the skincare business for some time back in the days. I've done a little bit of everything. But, even your face, your skin tells a story. And so I had come across people who had breakouts. And when they were telling me what was going on in their lives, um, they had gone through some major difficulties. Some had lost a loved one and they were struck by intense grief and the skin just broke out. Other times it was just a lot of upheaval with friends. So if friends are not energizing you, making you feel at ease, they might not be friends that you want to spend too much time with. I think you can certainly always be around anyone, but I'm thinking it is also important to protect yourself. So that is another segment I'm going to cover down the road. But there are ways that you can go about to where you can go home and still feel like yourself. Feeling, when you left, you were energized, and hopefully you come back and feel energized again or still. So, what I wanted to let you know though was that it took me about 10 years to get over this broken heart. I finally finished the relationship after about it was 6.5 years, no, 6.5 months roughly, but it took me 10 years to get over this relationship. And strange enough, it was during those 10 years we lived, oh gosh, about 15 or 20 miles apart. So we really had no business to be in each other's business in terms of locations. But he kept popping up here and there. And it wasn't like he was stalking me or anything like that. These were just things, it's almost like there was a puppeteer and who used him as a puppet in my life somehow. And it was a bit scary at times when I think back where I would be, in line somewhere, and all of a sudden he would pop out of nowhere, and he seemed just as surprised as I was, and it happened many, many times. Eventually, I moved away from the area, and it stopped. However, once in a while, I did hear from family members that he had run into, that he was inquiring about me and where I might be at this time if they could give me a message. Them knowing what I had gone through in terms of heartbreak and losing weight and what have you, they realized that he was not good for me. So ask yourself, who are people in your life that are not good for you, who are not elevating your game, but taking it down? Before I finish, I wanted to let you know that after I left, after I told him to basically move on, that I was done with the relationship, I needed some time, I told him back then. I found a new job, and it was a great job that I stayed with for years and years. So it was interesting how during that time I had a really hard time finding new positions, and when I did, it was usually very short term, and then I something happened and I was gone again. But after I was done with the relationship, after I quit the relationship, um, it all came together rather quickly, um, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. So some things in your life are meant to be, and others are not. So have a clear understanding of what is good for you and what's not, and how do these different situations, when you get together with people, how do they make you feel? Because I'm telling you, your instinct is never wrong, never. What you feel in your spirit, listen to it. I mean, it can save your life, honestly. It is just not healthy to be around people who are sucking you dry. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close on this today. I just thought this was really important to share this with you. Um, and I will see you another time. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye bye.